Hi, my loves. This is your host, Karla, bringing stories of life experiences and of powerful lessons, also sharing healing methods and topics of the natural and supernatural. Remember, you are the medicine. Tú eres la medicina. Karla After Dark. Hi, guys. This is Karla After Dark, coming back with you guys with this new season, episode 1. And I have a special guest, which I'm super blessed to have you not just here for the first time meeting you in person. And this is very special, guys, because it's episode 1. And we have connected through mutual friends. And we're blessed that that bridge we're able to connect. And hopefully this is going to be not the first. So many more experiences together. So a little bit of special person. His name is Gustavo Sanchez, and I basically know very little. So this is going to be very discovery of knowing who he is. And everyone who bumps into this episode, we're going to discover a person that has a heart, a heart of gold. The little time that I've connected with him and spoke with him, he has a big heart, and what I enjoy the most is that he's such a good listener, but on top of that, his experiences of life has made or created where he is now. So I am very blessed and privileged and honored to have you here as my first guest for episode 1, season 2. So, Gustavo, ¿cómo estás? How are you?
Wow, gracias Carla por esa introducción. That was really nice.
Thank you.
Wow, I'm honored. I'm honored. Wow, that's huge. I wasn't expecting that intro. Thank you.
I'm full of surprises.
Yeah, which is great. You know, I'm glad. I'm really happy because, I really do think that we connect in many different ways and through good people with good souls, people that are full of love. And I think that, it generates or it keeps on projecting that energy. And I think that's one of the reasons why our friend was able to connect with us and say, hey, I think you guys need to work together. I think you guys need to, you guys will identify with you guys. And, yeah. Yes. So in terms of that, I think that he was right. I think he was right,
Yes.
So
that's thank great. You. So one of the things that I know our conversations is that obviously being part of this project, this is the recording that was an amazing setup, and his professionalism is amazing. You're so meticulous, and I learn from people like that because I can be a little chaotic and I love my chaos. But when I'm around energy that is very meticulous and precise, and you've been in an industry of as a videographer, correct? Mm-hmm. How that came along. And so that's actually the first introduction I'm going to talk about is that you're doing this recording with his beautiful daughter, Milagros. And so how it came about you becoming a videographer?
So, I love photography first. I love photography. And a few of my friends started doing photography. And then I started getting involved more into that scene. And then all of a sudden, I saw these people shooting back in the days, it was Super VHS, which is the big cassettes, Yeah. And I started seeing what they were doing. I said, one guy literally told me, like, I said, I can do that. And they were like, you can do that. Really, Goose, you can really do that. And I said, yeah. And that was it. And that kind of just started a trickle effect. And then little by little, I started doing it. I took classes. I started doing collaborative work at school. And then it was just little by little, it just kept on picking it up. And I want to say that I started doing my own independent production since 2006, I want to say, on my own, and that kind of just kept on going little by little. I found out that uh, there was people that were telling stories, and they were not like coming from a Latino perspective story. And I was like, you know what, we need to put more Latino, Mexican American stories out there, and more different perspectives, so that we can connect and unify people as a human beings. Because we forget that we were once tribal,
Yes.
and we were all connected in one time. And that's how I started, like, you know what, I want to do this. I want to connect with people. I want to show people how we are and how we're so connected. You bleed the same way I bleed.
Yeah.
And
100%, yeah.
and that was pretty much it. So it just kept on going and trickling and trickling and trickling. And next thing you know, I started working with other people.
How long has been how long in total years you've been doing?
So I want to say my own pieces, 2006. But collaborative, I want to say probably since I want to say maybe 2001. Maybe I remember my friend Gabriel Navar, which is a local Bay Area artist. I remember we went to a gallery exhibition of his, and some lady just like, this, and she just grabbed me, and I just kept on interviewing and grabbing the camera, and I just kept on going. She's like, "You're a knack for this. You have it." So I think that was probably in '96. One of my bosses, Lucia Rodriguez, I worked with her, and she kind of pushed it. She kind of pushed that artistic part of me, and she would just go around in the Latino art scene, and they would always like, Gustavo's good. Gustavo's good.
Yeah.
I didn't even know how to, but she was just like, Gustavo's good, and she just kind of pushed it, and so I think maybe '96 was the first time that I started working with other people. 98, I know for sure. '98. It's funny you say that. You asked me. We went to an art exhibit once. Lucia took me, and Cheech Marin. For those that don't know, Cheech and Chong. He's a very high, Latino collector.
Wow.
Huge. Like he collects a lot of Latino Chicano art, and he was doing an exhibition.
Wow.
And this was at MoMA in San Francisco, and she invited me. She got me passes. She got me everything, and she's like, "I want you to go." So there was an after party, and she was there. So back then there was a magazine that was called in Mexico, it was like, "Y tú quién eres?" And who are you, right?
Yes.
And it spoke about who was a person and blah blah in interviews, right?
Yeah.
So me being a carajo, I see Cheech, and he's a short guy, right? And I go up to him, and he's like, and I said, "Hey, ¿y tú quién eres?" And he's puzzled, and he looks at me. He's like, "You don't know who I am?" And I said,
"You're bad."
And I literally like, ¿y tú quién eres? And
that's
like,
a good one.
I'm Cheech Marin. And that was the joke back then, to say that, with that magazine. And my boss just kind of like, "Ay, Gustavo." And he's like, and they're doing an interview, but they didn't have a person to like follow through. And my boss literally is like, "Gustavo, boom, you're going to help at the after party."
Yes.
And here I am grabbing the camera, and here I'm interviewing people and so on. And that was pretty much it. And from that on, I started just like, you know what? And I kept on going, and I kept on going. She supported me a lot. I got a lot of credit for her.
That's amazing.
I think that if it wasn't for her showing me a different scene than what I was used to, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. Through her, I was able to even go visit the Golden Gate Bridge.
Wow.
And I live right across the street, or
like
across the bay.
Across the bay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that part of like how it kind of just intertwined everything, your connections with. As your journey begun, obviously, originally you're from Fresno, California.
Yeah.
Where this is like only an hour away from us.
Yeah, from here. Yeah.
That's crazy. So you're a Valley boy originally.
Yeah, you know what? Well, I come from a family of farm workers, labor, trabajadores, campesinos, right? Humble beginnings.
Yes.
So my dad was actually here working at Cinco Puntos.
My God, Cinco.
Cinco Puntos. Yeah. So that's where he was at, and then he was, I guess, the person that was in charge of uvas,
Yeah.
fields. And then I remember that we were there in a small little casita, and
Yeah.
you know, maybe if it was a one bedroom, I don't remember,
Yeah.
or it was all open, and we were there, and some Portuguese ladies were the ones that were owning that place, and then afterwards, we moved to the Bay,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's
Wow.
where we
So,
started.
tu familia, your family is originally from Mexico. So
Yeah,
it's,
uh,
you say they're from Michoacán.
from Michoacan, so they were.
Michoacán, Morelia, o
Uh,
de dónde?
so I have, so from my mom's side, tenemos the Garibais, right? The
Yeah.
Garibais are in Morelia.
Oh,
Okay, they were very political and so on.
yeah.
But originally they're from a small little town close to Zamora,
Mm,
and it's called Chavinda.
yeah.
And Chavinda was partially raised there, or I grew up there a couple of years. My dad wanted us to learn Spanish, so he would send us over there,
Yeah.
and we kind of learned the culture at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's one of the reasons why my values are so uh, connected to Mexico now, those old school traditional values. But at the same time, I'm modern. I'm modern. I was also raised here in the U.S. And, I'm a Mexican American, you could say,
Yes.
so fully. So
Yeah.
I have both cultures in me,
Yes.
So,
That's
yeah.
beautiful. So both of your parents are from Michoacán.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Both of them are from Michoacan, from the same town, Chavinda, Michoacan. And my dad was the oldest.
Yeah.
So he had to basically go and find work and to
Yes.
sustain the family. So at 13, he was even already starting to migrate and come over here and so
Wow.
on. So he was the first one to break ground for migrating.
Here and to
Yeah.
come this way. Wow. So another thing that I would like us to talk about, what your dad passed away.
Yeah, he passed away.
He passed away.
I want to say close to 7 years ago. Close to 7 years ago. My dad was a troubled man. He had his shadows or demons, as however you want to say it. He suffered through physical and mental abuse as he was growing up.
Yeah.
So that kind of kept on going with him as he grew, and he found alcoholism. So he was a heavy drinker, a heavy smoker since he was, I think, 12 to 13 years old.
Wow.
So eventually, it wasn't his heart problems that basically, that caused him to pass, but it was cancer. Lung cancer is what made him pass.
Wow.
For me, he was after he sobered up, he was the voice of reason. He was very caring, very loving, to the point that I got to see him spend really beautiful days with my daughters. And I told him, I said, Dad, you know what? I'm not envy, but I see how great dad you are. And I said, and I'm really grateful that I'm seeing how loving you are. Not to me. At one point, I needed you, and you wasn't there. Yeah. But I see that you're being present for my daughters, and they're really appreciating and loving you. Yeah. So I said, I'm really grateful. So when he passed, it really affected me because he was the voice of reasoning for me. Yeah. I always went to him. I always cared to him, and for me, he was a very pivotal person in my life. Then he was like my voice that I could go to. Yeah. And reason. So when he passed in my arms, it was very shocking. It was very, very deep and painful. Yeah. So
I mean, obviously, like the experience of that kind of grief, especially your relationship with him, right? How do you feel how that was as you were growing up through that process of your own childhood with your dad, your relationship, your connection? Was it challenging as you grow a lot older, or were you a little bit what's the right word? Detached. There we go. Detached from how he was, and then you start realizing, obviously, that he was a great dad. The only way he knew how to be a great dad, right?
I think that it was very challenging for me when I was growing up, because my dad would only come on the weekends because he was working in Salinas, you know, as a farm worker over there. So when he would come, it was like my dad was there. You know, oh, okay, cool, my dad. And then he would drink, and then, you know, and that was it. So when we went to Mexico, he was only going let's say every 3 months over there. So for me, it was like, where's my dad? You know, so I became very active. I became, you know, he wasn't as much there. And eventually when he would show up, he would actually drink and so on. So for me, it's like when I needed him, he wasn't kind of there. But when he was sober, he was really present. It's like he made up for it, you know, when he was sober. And now but keep in mind, there was a lot of things that he had to deal with because of his alcoholism.
Of course.
And it affected me in many different ways, you know, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually too.
Absolutely.
And I rebuilt. I became very active, very defiant, I want to say. I don't want to say violent, but I did a little bit. Or I did.
Yeah.
I did.
It's okay.
I
it's
did.
okay.
Actually, I did.
It's the past.
Yeah, it's the past. I made peace with it. So,
yes, exactly. And that's what matters.
You know?
And of course, we'll talk about how you made peace with that. But sure. I mean, obviously, alcoholism, it's very common in most families, right? Yeah. So obviously that brought hindrance and a sense of disconnection, obviously, for your dad, and which it ripples into the family.
Yeah, it did a lot because we would see him. We wanted to interact with him, but because he was heavily drinking, sometimes he would be offensive. But I'm really grateful that I experienced that, you know, because when he had a heart attack, you know, everything changed. And now he needed caring. Now he needed help.
Yes.
And then, you know, he started realizing things like, oh, you know what? Okay, I need to slow down. I need to change. I need to do that.
Yeah.
And when he was doing that, he was actually becoming that father that I seeked for many years. He was not that I wanted it by then, but he was just acting on it. And I was like, oh, you know what?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I would see how he would interact with my daughters. And I was like, wow, this is beautiful. So for me, I'm grateful and I'm really blessed that he went through what he did so that I would appreciate and value him right now as he was.
Yeah.
Because he sobered up like one day to the next. And he had to.
He went cold turkey.
Yeah, he had to.
No choice.
You know? Yeah, he's like, you know, he had a lot of other complications. He had he had like two, 3 strokes. It was a total of like 8 near to death situations that changed him.
Wow.
So every time we had to go through him, you know, care for him and be there for him. So it was, I told him, I said, Dad, when I was a kid, when I was a baby, you took care of me.
Yeah.
And I said, you wiped me. And he was like, what? I said, yeah, Dad, you know, you clean my trasero, as we say, right?
Yeah.
And I said, so now it's my turn to take care of you. So now it shifted.
Yes.
And that was beautiful for me because I got to see who he was and care for him and love him.
Yeah.
And that was a blessing for me. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I lived the life that I did with him. And then he showed me that of what not to do and what to do. So
I think that's the biggest part when you become grown and emotionally mature and be able to see that your parents did their best and where they were, and their experience was not like an expertise. We grow as parents, and obviously you understand because you're a dad yourself of your beautiful girls, and you understand it's a most challenging thing ever. We're not taught how to be parents. You just kind of grow with your kids. So you were able to understand that the level that your dad was able to be a father towards you and your siblings, that's what he was able to, obviously. But that's the beautiful part because that's what's teaching you to be a better dad, better version of a dad for your girls, right?
I think that as you said, we don't have a book or we can't study, right?
Yeah.
Parenting, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that I noticed is that, and I'm seeing it, as you grow older,
yes,
you have that you have that experience, right?
Yes.
Like, oh, okay. And I can relate to my dad, like, okay, I'm going to know what to do with the grandkids.
Yes.
Right? And I was like, I already lived with my kids. I know what worked and what didn't. Now I'm going to relay it and, project it onto my grandkids.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I have the experience now. Okay, cool. I know. And then I realized, like my mom used to say, when they grow, they'll come back. They'll realize the mistakes. It's like, you'll learn. Yeah. You'll learn. And I was like, I'm not going to learn, Mom. And it's like, no, I was 19 once, mijo. You'll realize. And now I'm like, okay, she knows what she's talking about.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. I mean, another thing, like, how was that relationship with your mom as you growing up? It was that she was able. You're laughing on this. Oh God.
So my dad was very caring, right? He was very, loving and so on, because of his trauma. Yeah. Right. He didn't want us to feel that way, right? And he was very loving when he was there, right? And and the flip side was my mom. She says, she was non-caring, non-emotional. She was like cutthroat, like and she would like blab whatever she felt.
Oh my God.
Boom. And physically, she was very abusive with me. I was very active. So
that's tremendo.
I was. I mean, my nickname is Tremendo, right? So which means mischievous, right? But extreme mischievous, right?
Extreme.
So actually, my great grandma. Yeah. I mean, my grandma, her mom, was the one that baptized me with the name.
No way.
Yeah, she was like, "Eres tremendo." She would go like this, like, oh,
like you have like,
like, oh, abuelita, But my mom was very cold. Yeah. She even till this day, she literally says, "Yo soy muy agria," which means bitter, right?
Yeah.
And non-emotional, not like I would hug her and she would like, hasta la chingada, ay, enfadoso, Yeah. And I was like, Mom, I'm just trying to show you some lunch. She's like, ay, esto para allá.
Yeah.
And at first I was hurtful, right? I was like, damn, Mom, like, what the hell? And then I was like, damn, you don't love me? What's up, Mom? But she loved me in her own way.
Yes.
Right? And I think that was the flip side. My dad was more caring. My mom wasn't. My mom was more emotional, less emotional, but she was more like, just get the shit done.
Yeah.
Like, just do it. And more cutthroat. And besides that, she would say, like, if you don't do it, te voy a chingar, And she would.
She would not just warn you. No, she would come through.
Like, she was the type of one was like, you know that el cinto, the belt over there? Go get it. Go get it.
She will actually just.
Yeah, she would. Yeah. You know how George Lopez says, like, for a long time says that he really thought his name was pendejo or baboso? That was me too. I could relate to him because my mom would say the same exact things.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was like.
So she never called you from your first name?
I mean, she did, but when she would be, ay, baboso, cabrón, and this, like, but that was the harsh way that she was raised too. But like I was saying, my grandma was what she was. She raised them to be tough like that and very like,
very direct. Yeah.
But with me, my grandma was very caring, very loving. In the whole entire family, I was the spoiled one.
So you were nurtured by her. Yes.
I was. So that's why I was saying, you have the experience now when you raise your kids, so you show it to your grandkids. And that's what she was doing. She would show me that part.
Yeah.
My mom would chase me sometimes. I remember as a kid. And she would hide me in her nawas, meaning her dress, and just hit me. She's like, shh, and underneath her chair. And my mom would just chase me and try to,
find you.
Yeah.
So where is he at?
And I would be down there. And then once she was gone, I would come out and, would play.
She rescued you.
Yeah. Or she would defend me, know. But that was the difference between my mom and her, and my dad, so that was one of the things. So when we moved to the Bay Area, mi mama didn't know racism. She didn't know that. And she kind of clashed on it. My dad did too. Because from Fresno to Oakland,
totally different.
And my dad was light skinned, like how you have your hair right now, I see medio brownish. that was his hair. He was light skinned, and he would always be confused with being white. Wow. And he would always be chased. Yeah.
What? They would think he was actually white, not Mexican?
Yeah. This is in the late 70s, Yeah.
Like so they were here for a while. So they got to experience the contrast of like what Mexicans or Latinos go through, right?
Yeah, they did.
Feeling as a minority.
Yeah, because, in back in those days, the civil rights movement, from the civil rights movement, then a lot of Caucasians moved from Oakland and from certain areas. So a lot of Latinos started migrating, moving in, and African Americans or blacks, and they started predominantly in the east side and so on. So my parents moved into the East Oakland. They were the first Latinos. I mean, I was one of 4 Latinos in the school. So that, and 99% was African American or black.
Yes.
And I got to see the racism and feel it. So it was my dad had already experienced all that, the abuse, the physical abuse, the chasing, and so on. So we were like, dude, like this is something new we don't know.
It's completely
yeah. We're like, they would confuse us, and they're like, dude, I'm Mexican American. They're like, what the hell is that? So it's like, okay, all right. So that's the kind of the struggle that we went through.
Of course. And I think most Latinos can relate with that. If you guys are listening to this episode and you're a Latino or a minority that's been in situations where you feel like not accepted. Yeah. Like not wanted, and rejection is a big word for me, because if we go through healing process, and I'm going to kind of like sway a little bit on that topic, because as a minority, and I think because you embrace your culture as much as I do too, in this human experience, we are Mexican. So for us to experience of what our people have gone through, it runs deep. Yeah, I think if you already have trauma on not being accepted, and society makes you feel rejected as well. So I think that's going to bring a lot of shadows into a lot of things of not being good enough, not wanted. And sometimes we don't even know that shadow follows you through relationships and partnerships, work, just group of family and friends. Now, and the shadow of rejection is huge, because you feel you're not good enough. Or not wanted. And it doesn't have to be like, you got rejected from, I don't know, from society in an extreme form, but just those little things, experiences like being rejected at work, or just like being treated a certain way. You feel it. Some people, as soon as you walk and they see you as a minority and unwanted. So that's big for me. That rejection, it kind of is very broad in that topic.
It is, because it goes deep. It goes so deep that sometimes it goes to your subconscious, to the point that you're not even aware about it. And I think it really does go deep, because you're not really aware of what's damaging or what's affecting you until afterwards. It's something you see.
Yes.
And for example, like like some of the teachers would tell us, like, you, meaning me, you a white devil.
And wow.
Like,
a white devil.
I'm like, what's a white devil?
Yeah, and that's runs down. Yeah, that's.
And I was like, I'm a devil?
Yes.
Like, because now we're talking about religion, right? For us, Latinos, Catholics, Christians, that kind of goes into it. The devil, Jesus, the Holy Father, and so on. So, and in my school, they used to say that we were, if we didn't have their complexion, we were considered white devils.
Wow.
So, my family's light-skinned, so like I was a blonde kid when I was born.
Wow.
Right? So on my birth certificate, they put, white. And that's how they used to do it back then.
Yeah, like they didn't say brown.
Yeah, they didn't say brown or Mexicano or Mexican. They would just say either you're black or white. Wow. So I was white. So yo me pensé, I'm like, oh, I guess am I a white devil? Like I didn't know, So those shadows.
And when you're not like around that, like you're just thinking, why I never was like told that?
Yeah, my mom didn't know. My dad didn't know, and they're like, I was like, oh, is that why my dad got chased all the time? He got always beat up. So I was like, oh, but then they're like, if you have colored eyes, if you have, don't have a complexion, then that's it. And then I started like, wait a minute, my professor had green eyes, and I said, wait, but you have colored eyes. Does that mean you are one of them or what? And she was like, no, but I have Afro features. And I said, okay. And then I started reading Malcolm X when he went to Mecca. And when he went to Mecca, he was making connections with people. And it wasn't black or white. Yeah. It was more like the religion part. Everybody got together. So I started challenging that mentality of like white devils are like this. And I was like, no, you know what? It's a mindset. Yes. It's a way of seeing things. And I started connecting with a lot of people. So for me, it was a big challenge. And it was like, no, you're wrong. Yeah. And I went from a 3.5 GPA to a 0. I did not like going to the school. I hated the school. Yeah. And I started going to another school where there was more Latinos, Chicanos. And I loved it. I was like, oh, this is cool. I met with my junior high kids and that I grew up and I connected with them. Yeah. And then so for me, that was huge because I had felt so much racism. I even got chased by dogs, Karla. They fetched dogs to me. Like, I still got the pinche bites on my legs, Like, that's how bad it was,
Oh my gosh.
Some of our friends, there was one named Rene. We were hopping a fence, and he got stuck on the way up, right? So the dogs got me, right? Yeah. On my leg, and he wasn't able to hop the fence. I was able to shake the dog and hop over. He got stuck, and they just beat the shit out of him. Wow. And really bad. And we just ran through the creek, and we just bailed. And that's how we were able to survive. Wow. So for us, it was like, wait a minute. For my view, it was more like, you guys state, and I'm referring to the people that attacked us, right? We were like, you guys referred that we were white devils. But, quote unquote, white devils did the same thing to the black community. And you guys are doing that to us. That's hypocrisy. Yes. And that's racism. So for me, to the max, from that point on, I started realizing more. And I wanted to see more and expand my mind and think differently because I said racism affects many people in many different backgrounds. It's not just, black and white. No, absolutely not. I know that Asians do. I mean, everybody has history of being discriminated and it runs deep. And I think when you're in the healing path, which you are too, which we'll discuss in a little bit, you're going to start facing like some deep stuff that even we're carrying from our ancestors. And to move forward, our children can get that if we don't work it through. And I think discrimination still exists. Obviously, if we put more energy on that, of course, it's going to be more obvious. But it's the illusion of separation. Yeah. And how do you feel about that? In your healing path, have you got to face on that experience for yourself? I think like we were talking earlier, it's like we forget that we were tribal. We forget that the village basically survived all together as a whole. Yes. And I think because of society, we have lost that. And because, I don't like it porque eres mujer, or porque eres bonita, or eres así, or you have tattoos. And we start hating upon each other. And putting negativity upon each other to the point that we divide, ourselves from other people instead of looking at other common things, like, man, I like your rings. You know what? I like your rings, Yeah.
Oh, like too, be able to compliment each other for our differences at some point,
And I think that, when it comes to that, I have realized that I'll keep it as simple as I can. Love affects everybody, and love and sadness and everything affects everybody the same way, no matter who you are, no matter what background you have. And I see that through my healing, I have connected with so many people from different backgrounds.
Oh yeah.
And because of that, I realized that it doesn't matter who you are, what color you are, what background you are, as long as you're trying to improve yourself and heal and become a better individual as a whole collectively.
Yeah.
I think that's where you really truly show love.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things that I've been discovering the most, because as Latinos, or as I want to say as Mexican,
yes,
raised as a Mexican, you're like, you're not showing, you're trying to be that macho. You don't connect with people.
Yeah.
You don't say, you bite your tongue,
Yeah.
you don't tell your emotions to people. You just hush.
Yes.
And I get that that's a survival. I get that that's also the bad part of the machismo that I want to say. And there's the good side of the machismo is what we don't talk about.
Yes.
Which is that nurturing, that fatherhood, that being present. But the bad part is like,
Yes.
And that's where we don't connect with people, and we don't show people who we really are. So as I'm healing, I'm embracing people. I'm loving people. I'm able to be happy, and people reflect that back onto me.
Absolutely.
And recycle it. And again, we become that tribal mentality.
Yes.
Through laughter, through love, through healing,
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things that I'm experiencing right now. And I have been experiencing for years,
Talking about the masculinity of us masculine men, being vulnerable and growing up obviously in a Mexican household. How impactful was that for you? Were you able to feel to reflect more into the nurturing? Like, do you feel like you got to embrace that more, or when you became a father, or how would that integrate that into your life? Because I know that as being Mexican, I know you probably weren't able to express too much.
Yeah, and I know we've spoken about a little bit about this. For me, because my dad wasn't as present there, because he wanted to provide, and he had his own things going on. I was raised by my mom mostly, as like similar to a single mom, by my aunts. And I know we spoke about this, the cat calling, the oppression of women. So for me, I didn't want to be that way, like that machista, that male part. I found it disrespectful. I found it like offensive. So even though I was a troubled kid, even though I was very aggressive, very violent, or very defensive, I don't think I was aggressive. I was more defensive. But I realized that I wasn't. Now, family around me, they did not want me to share. They would not want to talk. They wanted to be tough. They wanted to be like, But it was frowned upon.
Oh.
It was put down like, pinche vieja, or they would say, aguántese cabrón, or cállese la boca cabrón.
Isn't that crazy how we thought that was normal?
Yeah.
I mean, being around when I was little, I would be around, we'll go to parties, quinceañeras, and you're surrounded by all these Mexicans, and they all talk the same way to their kids.
Yep. But you know what the funny part was?
It's just crazy.
When a Ramon Ayala song would come in.
Oh my god.
Or like some kind of like a woman did me wrong type of song.
Yeah.
Or like I missed a woman or something like that.
Yeah.
They would be like, and they would be
crying like little kids.
Yeah,
and they will huddle and then
like, hey, compadre, I miss her and all that. And I'm like, dude, like, what? Where's that?
It's contradicting. Yeah, it contradicts, right? Because obviously they could just be nurturing, and they probably were machistas with their partners, and then until they leave and they're crying for them, and they become vulnerable like little kids.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, why she leave me? Because, hello,
look at yourself.
You can value her. Look how you're treating. You have that male chauvinistic,
Yes, the male
domineering,
chauvinistic. Yes.
type of way of treating women, and being like women. And it's like, soy hombre, yo puedo andar con cualquier mujer que quiera,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be there.
Yes.
It was kind of like that. And I know I'm generalizing, and I know, this is what I grew up with.
Yeah,
right?
and it's very common. The big percentage.
Yeah, and
sure.
It was more like, I'm gonna keep you barefoot and pregnant, type of mentality.
Yes, very.
And to the point, like, this
I think he's so ignorant.
Look, I'll give you an example.
Oh my goodness.
My sister was learning how to drive, or actually, she was already driving, and I didn't feel like driving one day, and I went to like Milagro says, like, oh,
I remember that.
So I let my sister drive. I said, you drive. So we pull up to my aunt's house, right? My cousins from Mexico were there. And as soon as I get out of the car, they're shaking their head. No, ni madres, cabrón. No, vales verga. And I'm like, what? What? What the hell? Like, he's like, no, pa que a mí, for me, to have a fucking una pinche vieja to drive me, me corto los huevos. I'll cut my balls.
Oh,
and I was like, what the? Like, really, dude? Like,
so seriously? Toxic.
It was like, dude.
Toxicosa.
And they were like, toma una cerveza. Here's a pinche beer. And I was like, dude, like.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that's how ignorant. That's how stubborn you are. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe that that's how their mentality was. And that was my first cousin.
Yes.
And he was like stubborn to know and to fight me because he wanted me to have a beer. And I was like, dude, I don't know. But that's the mentality that I grew up with, you know? And I started just shining away from that because I was like, I don't want to treat my partner the same way. I don't want her to be the way or raise my family that way, And I didn't.
You switched it up. And I think it's el contraste, is the contrast when I always see that if darkness, those experiences didn't go through, then we wouldn't want to make changes, right? For the better. And I think that's part of the evolution of our consciousness. Like, you want to civilize yourself into this, in a different form for your families. And I think it's very interesting how darkness plays a part in our lives, which makes us to have our dark night of our soul. And have you experienced your dark night of your soul?
I have. I was like, oh my God. Miller's going to be like, oh my God, like, this is where he opens up and he says things. He because I don't want to expose them, and maybe probably some traumatic things that, that could happen,
Yeah.
But I have had some very dark moments in my life before I was married. And I was to the point that I didn't like my life. I didn't want my life. I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't happy, and I stood out like a sore thumb because I had long hair. I wasn't your typical quote unquote Mexicano, with the sombrero, with the boots and all. And
you switched it up.
Well, it's because when I was growing up in Mexico, well, we left from the States in the 80s, right?
Oh, okay.
So early 80s. So the rock scene, the Police things and Michael Jackson and all that scene was there. The breakdancing was there. So when we went to Mexico, I was able to relate to the rock en español.
Oh, right? Okay. Rock en español, for sure. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
That was, So when we moved back, so when we moved back over here, I was like, I'm not into banda. I'm not into música grupera. And that was here. So I clashed with a lot of people, and a lot of people hated on me because I had started having long hair. I started dressing differently, not like a full, leather jacket and so on.
But that was kind of normal in Mexico, like in la ciudad, no?
Yes, but remember, we were in a small town.
Oh.
Small town where they still believed that las mujeres tenían que tener su rebozo over their head.
Covered.
And you had to have this certain guideline for women. And
It was a fashion. It was part of.
Well, it's also, you know, the
moda,
lack of education.
Yes.
You know, the lack of exposure. You know, to different cultures and so on. You know, all they knew was what they knew.
Yeah.
And for me, I was against that. You know, I wasn't drinking. I wasn't doing none of that. So I became very violent, very aggressive. And then at the schools, you know, I had that racism. So my mom couldn't connect with me because she didn't know what racism was. So I started having that, and I started blowing it up. And, you know, I declared war to the whole entire world.
Yes.
And I welcomed the darkness.
Yeah.
You know.
It's very true. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's so crazy that part of your hurt and the pain that we get, right? And we're not conscious, and we just enjoy that feeling of feeling angry, upset.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you feed it. It's not kind of, it is feeding it. It's feeding more and more your inner darkness.
Well, even my nephews would even call me like, "Hey, we're gonna have a fight. Theo, Goose, come through. Fucker, where's
You're that Theo?"
And then, you know, I would go. And they're like,
it wasn't your fight, but you will go.
Yeah, I would go. I mean, to the point that I remember some of my nephews, híjole, this is bad. And I was good at fighting, right? I was able to knock out people. And they literally asked me to go participate in a Filipino initiation, gang initiation.
What?
And I wasn't part of the gang, but they're like, "Goose, but you know what, Theo? You know how to throw down. You know, you knock out people. You know, go." And that's what they're like. And then afterwards, after they saw how bad I was hurting the guys, they're like, "Dude, you need to step away." Like,
they were like, "Just kidding."
Like, you know, like you know, we want them to stand up after they get initiated.
Yes.
And they're like, "Oh, okay." And they pulled me to the side. Wow. But that's how bad I got. Like I craved it. I was there. I was like, "Fuck this. I want to cause pain." And it was my own demon, my own, you know, toxicity. Yeah. My own desmadre, as we say. Yeah. You know, and I always say that I'm grateful that I went through all that, because I value and appreciate what I do and what I'm doing now, because I recognize a lot of things that I was doing, and I see it, and I think it's because I accepted that it was all dark, and that it was all wanting to break something beautiful. Something that could be beautiful, something that had a lot of potential. Yes. And my environment created that too. You know, it was. I'll give you an example of how bad it was. So my maiden last name is Garibay. When I came from Mexico, one of my role models was Arturo. We used to call him Lacero. Right? Don't ask me why, you know, cero, you know, manure. I don't, you know. Anyways, so when I went to Calvin Simmons, to the junior high, I wasn't able to go there, so they transferred me to another junior high. I get there, they see my last name, and they say, "How are you related to Arturo Garibay?" I say, "Yeah, that's my first cousin." "Oh, no. No. Are you like him?" I said, "I don't know what you mean." And then they're like, "No, you can't come to this school." And then I started asking, like, why? And they're like, "Because he created too much havoc. He was always bullied. He was always put down, and he stood up for himself. He was always fighting." I said, "I didn't know about that." Yeah, I'm Sanchez Garibay. I'm not Garibay. And that was the reason why they allowed me to go to the school there. Later on, I found out that he was always troubled. He was always a troubled kid, and I looked up to him. And every time when we would get bullied, or we would get jumped, or we would get chased, I would go to him, and he would always defend us. And that was who he was, you know. So for us, that was the case, you know, having him always defend us. Wow. You know, so that's why he taught me how to, you know, I guess, be dark.
Be dark. You know? He taught you to be dark.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, you know.
Basically, he was able to kind of help you, like, embracing it, right? It's kind of like embracing that part of you, because he was basically in that space and you were basically there too, and so he kind of just embraced you with that. Like es lo que él sabe. There's no other way with it.
It's kind of like when you see a young kid growing up and the only role models that he has are gun
it's normal,
or gang related people, right? So it's like there's no positive role models. The only ones that you see are the ones that are close to you, right? So if they're involved in certain negative aspects or negative things, you're going to most likely follow their footsteps. And in my case, I didn't follow his footsteps, but I could see that anytime I needed something, he would basically be there. And he didn't care. He was like, dude, you need something, I'm coming through. You know, they always say that you need a friend that you can go to and like, you know, hey, all you need to ask is, you know, hey, we're going to do this. And he's going to respond like, do I need to take a bat or do you need me to go? That was him. So I was like, oh, yeah, you know.
So in Return of Your Dark of Your Night, so that was kind of like one of them. I mean, how many I'm sure you had several experiences that were pretty dark within your life experience as like a dad, as a partner, because you were also married. And partnerships, we talked about partnerships, is very challenging. It's one of the challenges because in my behalf, being single, married, divorced, single again, so it's one of the things that I would say a lot of people don't know until they get involved in marriage. And when you're single, you think you know what you want.
Right. You feel it like you're like hey, this is what I want, you know?
You think, right? I mean, because why is it? Because as a male, I mean, I need your perspective on that. As a male, you need. I mean, you're visual. Men are visual.
Yeah, we are.
And so, obviously, feeling be attracted to a woman, but also based on. How do you base this? What's a good woman for you when you're 20 or 29 or 30? Like, I mean, you're still discovering yourself.
I think what it is that it goes through age. You start realizing a few things, right? When you're young, you're sexually driven and you're thinking with the head that hangs, you know, instead of this head. So you're thinking more sexual and so on. And that's the when, you know, quieres una que esté así, you know. Casinota, está casinota, you know, and it's like, but that's only superficial. That's only physical, right?
The outside aesthetic.
And that's great.
You
know that if
for sure,
know, more power to you if that's but there has to be something that attracts you to somebody.
There has to be something soluble, something that's it's going to be sustainable. Exactly. Someone that's going to be in that mindset with you. But discovering your when you wanted to be married, at that point you felt prepared in that timeline, because obviously right now it's different. It's a different version of you now versus when you first got involved in partnership.
So
put you on the spot right there.
Okay. So I really never went and told my relatives or my family, you know, what I was doing, right? And what
do you mean you didn't? You secretly got married?
No. Oh. Like you know, like I was telling you, like they thought that I was gay because I had the long hair.
Yes.
And I was like, you know what? I don't care what you guys say, right?
Yeah.
Or that I was fighting or stuff like that, right? I kind of kept it hush hush. Away from the family or the relatives, right? A few of them knew, but when I was just originally going out and having a good time and just enjoying myself, right? I would date like I was dating 4 women. Well, not dating. It was
you were talking with them.
I was talking.
You're dating, I know what you mean. Like you're getting to know them, and
and they would always tell me, like my relatives would tell me, like, "Hey, cabrón, you're getting old. Hey, ya estás 25. Your nephew's
25 is still
Well, you know, in entre los Latinos, you
yeah,
know,
I know.
Mexicans, that's already
ancient.
Yeah,
You're ancient. You're
ya se te pasó el avión, you know.
el tren,
you know. And for, you know, it's a, como le dicen, like a, like old hack.
Yeah, an old hack, yeah. Yes.
And and I was like, dude, like, no, I want to enjoy my life.
Yeah.
But that's what they thought. They were like, dude, your nephew that has 20, I mean, that's 20 years old, he already has 2 kids, you know. And I was like, oh, well, more power to him. Yeah, you're enjoying your single life. So I would go out, I would have a good time and so on, you know. And I would never take a serious girlfriend or whatever to the house. So I was just enjoying myself. I knew I wanted to find somebody. Yeah. But I wasn't really searching it, right? I wasn't really going for it. And there was a few women that I was really attracted to. And one of them was one of the ones that I grew up with, that I went to school. Yeah. And as a kid. And I was like, wow, esta mujer has a lot of the values that I'm I'm seeing. And she's pretty. And then I was like, she has started working with me too. And I was like, she came back over here. Perfect opportunity. Like, yeah, I was like, oh, yeah. And then, but again, I was still unsure, unclear. And then that's pretty much what, then my ex-wife, she was also in the picture. Oh, okay. And she was one of the 4. She was one of the 4. And then I was also seeing this other woman. She in the political scene. Oh, okay. She was one of the mayors from a city's personal assistant. And my ex-wife told me, "What did you see in her?" And again, you know, this is me being carajo. And I was like, I'm just having fun. Look at her. Look at her. Like, and, you know, estaba super
like, guapa. You cannot deny, she's beautiful.
I was like, she's beautiful. Está petacona. Tiene su bonito cuerpo. Yeah. And she's like, pero she's una cabrona. Yeah. That's what she would tell me. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to settle down. I'm not going to settle down. Yeah, with her. She was not girl material. Like, she's not. Yeah, she was having fun too. Yeah, and that was it. But that's what provoked me to start paying attention to my ex. And I said, what the hell? And then when I asked her to go out, she denied me. I said, okay. You know, okay. So I kept on doing my things. And then she starts realizing, oh, shit. And that's where she was like, hey, hello, I'm here. Hey. And I was like, let me see. Let me see de rogar. Because I was like, you know what? When you wanted to, you didn't. I mean, when I wanted to, you said no. Now all of a sudden you see what I'm doing. I'm pushing myself. I'm working on myself and doing these things. I said, I got another car. You're seeing that I'm doing things. And you see that I'm interacting with people. Now you're seeing it. Now you're paying attention. Okay. Yeah. And it took me some time, but yeah, I eventually folded. And, you know, I eventually folded, you know. And I mean, in that case, like, do you feel that in that period of time, you were ready, though? Do you feel like it was kind of like pressure in a sense? You know what? I wasn't ready to get married. I think it was more about like I seeked the companionship. I seeked well, men tend to be lonely, no? Like feel lonely because when they're not connected to themselves. But you know what? I was never like that. Oh, okay. You know, I was really, because I was always doing things. So you were a busybody. I was. So you were okay to be alone and busybody and doing things alone. But you did like companionship. So you did have 4 girls that you could hit up. Yeah. I mean. Yeah, but you know what? You felt lonely at times. You know what? To have 4 girls? I'm like, no, you know what, Carlita? I mean, I get where you're going. But it's kind of like it just happened. You just had your options. Yeah, and when you're single, you have options. Yeah. And it wasn't. And like, you're trying to learn, like. Yeah. But I was always busybody. I was always doing stuff, you know. I was one of the things that I was doing. I was Aztec dancing for like 5
Oh,
days
you
a week.
Aztec dance. Yeah. Oh,
so
shoot.
I was
okay, I'm learning a lot right now about you.
Oh,
Aztec dancer.
Yeah. So I was doing that for a long time.
Oh.
And so I was always busy. I would get off work and then go do that. Then I would go to college and then go do that and then come back. I would run. I would do that. Wake up in the morning, go 5 o'clock in the morning, go swimming, and then go to work.
You had a routine. You have a life routine.
Oh, and I loved it.
So technically, you weren't not available.
Because I was conmigo. Yeah. I was loving myself.
You were not available for a relationship.
Yeah, I wasn't.
No, you were living your life.
Yeah,
as it should. You were young at that time, so it's and I think that's the best thing as a man. Yeah. I think if you're not ready, why pretend you're ready? Yeah. Just so you were always honest to those girls.
I was. I literally told them like, look, I'm also, I'm seeking something serious, pero I'll tell you, vamos a salir y si hacemos, pareja, entonces sí, pero, I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah.
And we'll see. And I was always honest with them. That's one of the things that
transparency.
I think that I have always been that way. I have never been the type that has secluded myself in terms of, or even isolated myself in telling the truth. Or acá siempre les decía, like, look, this is what it is. And si estás a gusto, then I'll be okay.
Yeah.
And that's how it was, I think it was during that time, my old boss introduced me to a lot of art and galleries and, a lot of stuff. So I was always doing that.
Yeah.
I got to meet in person and had dinner with a comedy group that was called Culture Clash. And it was trio, three set, trio, ¿cómo se diga? Tres personas.
Yeah, trio.
And they were funny.
Yeah.
And we had to interact with them, have dinner through through Lucia Rodriguez. And she introduced me to a whole different thing. So I wanted to enjoy myself in that side.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't seeking for a relationship, but eventually it happened, But yeah, I was disfrutando.
Yes, and then we always discuss this when we have chat about this topic about partnerships and learning from the divorce.
Yeah,
it's been a journey for you for sure. Going with that topic, how did you discover your healing? And for your life. What method, what healing? Because I know you do different things.
Yeah.
That you have used as methods, modalities to bring you back in the path of your own self. Because it really comes back to us, right?
Yeah. I think what really helped me was socializing through old good people that I had reconnected with. Good vibe people, good energy people. And I think that making peace and forgiving yourself. And then, I started again reconnecting with my inner person.
Yes.
Reconnecting with myself, working on myself to being able to accept who I had become. And because I was very miserable. I was not happy in the relationship at the end. And then everything just fell apart. And the thing that till this day hurted me the most was not the relationship itself, but losing my daughters, the connection with them. And that was very detrimental to me because I'm a family man. And then all of a sudden from one day to the next, it's gone. And there was a lot of things that were very challenging, but that's what really broke me. And the love and the caring that I had for my girls, and for me to not be able to have that anymore was very painful. And I didn't know how to react. Like one of the things that I realized in all the relationship that I was with, I was easily able to cut ties and ahí queda.
And move
forward, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, it wasn't meant to be. Ahí nos vemos, right?
Yeah.
So
make peace.
Yeah. So in my relationship, in my matrimony, it was kind of like that. You know, there's I mean, there's little things where I was like, but for the most part, that's how it was.
Yeah.
The most painful thing for me was my daughters, and I think that because of that, I had to seek people that would allow me to speak, to let it out. I needed that support. I needed that friendship, that literally that love, to show me, hey, there's this way, Gustavo. You've been there before, and I think that's one of the reasons why I went back to Aya and to Sapito and all of that.
So with that, I'm going to jump in. So Aya was discovered for you how long ago?
I want to say I had been doing, ceremonies for over 15 years.
Wow.
Through Native Americans, I had done some peyote. I had done other things.
Oh, wow. Yeah, peyote's been one of the ones I've not done yet.
Yeah. I actually did it in Watsonville.
What?
Yeah.
On the, actually, natives?
So it was Mexicanos Chicanos that actually did it. I was working or volunteering with the UFW, United Farm Workers, right? And we actually connected with some people that were doing sweat lodges.
Oh,
and through the Aztec dancing. And then from that point on, they were like, Gustavo, come through. And that's how I experienced it. And I was like, oh. So this was when I was young, right?
Wow.
When I connected with this in my 20s.
And you were in a different state of mind, though.
Yeah,
you weren't even you've lived life, but not enough that you feel like you need, you're conscious, I need a lot of healing.
Yeah. Like back then it was like, estoy bien,
and then fast forward.
Yeah, and now it was reconnecting to that part of me, that reconnecting, you know what? This had helped me.
Yes.
And I said, you know what? Something was calling, something was telling me. And then I went just through an old friend of mine that we reconnected through the gym, through martial arts. Because actually, jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and boxing also was another way of healing, especially jiu-jitsu. Because you're just focusing on that person that's basically, as we call it, rolling with you.
Oh,
the world doesn't exist other than you and that person that's trying to.
Really? That's a new thing.
Yeah.
I never saw that way.
So it's basically.
It's true.
So I want to say this is this person is really trying to rip your head off in a real scenario. Yeah. So all you have to do is either defend or attack. So nothing else exists. Just you and that person.
Wow.
So either they get you and you surrender, you call uncle, or you tap, and you keep on going. And it's, your tolerance for pain grows.
Yeah.
And you metamorphically, if you look at it, it's kind of also you building up that tolerance for your inner pain. Wow. Because it's they can bust your arm, your leg.
Absolutely.
But and you tap and you keep on going.
It's intense hits that you guys go through.
So for me, that was one.
That was one of them.
And one of the ways that it helped me heal, going back and connecting to that, because I had stopped. And I was there 3 hours, 6 days a week. When I was in Sacramento, that's what I was doing, just doing that.
Wow.
I would work 12-hour shifts, drive an hour and a half, go train 3 hours.
What?
Go to sleep, and then back to work again, drive another hour and a half. And then come back 7 days, up to 7 days a week. That's all I was doing. Boom, 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 boom. And I loved it. So
you're okay with that?
Yeah, I was okay with it because since I was a kid, I always loved martial arts.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, it was Bruce Lee, right?
Of course.
So and Chuck Norris, right? Well, he
Chuck
came a
Norris.
little bit.
I grew up watching Chuck Norris.
So Oh, by the way, he doesn't fart. He breaks air.
Oh my God! You're saying when he?
Yeah. Una patada, he doesn't fart.
That's not a fart. Oh God.
But that's what I grew up with, right? And and Karate Kid came, the first one, and I was already doing that. So I knew that was part of my healing process, was martial arts, jiu-jitsu, and then
like an intro, right?
Yeah.
Introduction of your healing.
Yeah. And then afterwards, I remembered, one person that I cared for was Witsi.
Oh.
And Witsi would always tell me, hey, vente a hacer las ceremonias, come and do, and I did. And I started, and then that's when I started going to Canyon. And little by little, I was like, okay, cool. And then the rest of the family came. And they're like, hey, we're offering, Aya, and we're offering this. And I was like, oh. And that's how I started. And that was it. And, like everything, I focused on the family. But when I went through everything, the whole divorce and everything, I felt like something was calling me again. And I went back to the family. And and I started doing Aya again.
Ayahuasca. Yeah. So you first experience with ayahuasca, that was over 15 years?
I want to say I went close over 10. I want to say close to 10. Because the teepee and everything that's there didn't exist.
It did not exist.
There was nothing there.
What?
Nothing was
there. So
they've
been there more than 15 years?
I want to say between
with Aya.
I think I want to say between 10 and 15 years. I want to say there. Because I think one of our mutual friends was also doing jiu-jitsu, and I think he was just barely gotten his purple belt, or he was still like 4-stripe blue. And that's, it's white, then blue, and then it's purple, and then brown and black. But he was like on the verge of getting, and now he's been a black for a long time.
Wow.
So that's why. And but yeah, I want to say they've been there for at least 10 years, close to 10 years, at least 10 years.
So ayahuasca compared to peyote, how was for you in that healing experience?
I want to say that it was too far back for me to really reflect on it and think about it, and my state of mind and my healing process was different.
True.
So I want to say that back then I didn't appreciate it and didn't think about it the same way. I do know that with Aya, I started connecting through my grandmother that passed. I started healing differently.
Yeah.
I started talking to my dad, and he would talk to me and he would show me things. At the end, my dad was the voice of reason when he sobered up. So I connected, said everything with him. And then I started just enjoying life again and improving myself, doing better things, and really starting to love and myself, and literally letting it go to what I couldn't control.
Yeah. You think that's one of the biggest lessons for you that ayahuasca showed you, on letting go and surrender?
Yeah. I definitely do think so, because for me it was that change, that pivot change, because and this is how bad, and I know that this is something that a lot of people don't know, but and Milagros might have an idea, but me losing my girls, and Milagros was going through some hard situations too, where oh fuck, I'm gonna get emotional. And her mother didn't know, her family didn't know. Milagros was suffering. She's epileptic, so she suffers from seizures, or she used to. And during that time, when we moved away from Sacramento after the separation, Milagros was having seizures left and right.
All the time.
Yeah, and to the point that I would take care of her up to 2 weeks.
What?
Yeah, it was bad, and then and then situations would happen with my daughters, and they would bring me down. And then having Milagros going through what she was going through, it reminded me of when she first had the seizure.
Oh.
And her first seizure, we were eating dinner, and she She was the last one. She always had the tendency to eat slow and was the last one to eat, finish eating.
Okay.
So she was there and she started choking on broccoli.
Oh my goodness.
And my ex literally just jumps up, screams at me. She finds Milagros on the floor, and still kind of gagging, but not quite, and unconscious.
Oh,
I
God.
remember jumping, and there was a big table, dining table, and I don't know how the hell I tossed it, and I flipped it. Just with one hand, boom, and I grabbed Milagros. And I didn't know what was happening. And then by that time, she literally, she turned purple on me, and I didn't know what was going on. I just started shaking her and really freaking out. And my ex was like, "What's going on? What's going on? ¿Qué está pasando?" And me being a big guy, me being able to defend myself and defend the family, I wasn't able to defend my girls at that moment, especially her. And it got me mentally. It really got me to the point that when you see people in the movies, when they, do this, like they die and they do this, I mean, you think it's fake. You think it's not.
Yeah.
But when it fucking happens to you, and she did that to me, I didn't know how, and I didn't know what to do because I wasn't able to have kids. So here now, all of a sudden, my miracle baby, Milagros, is dying in my arms. So for me, it was very painful, and I didn't know what to do. And then her sisters come up to me and they say, "Papi, do something. Do something." And the little one says, "She's dead. Why aren't you doing something?"
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't know how to react, what to say. And she was gone. She was completely gone. I literally see that she had some broccoli in her mouth and rice. And I kind of moved things around, but she was not there. She was not there. She was completely gone. And I shook her. I was like, "Please, baby, don't do this to me." I put her down, and my ex was trying to resuscitate her. And she was like, "God, we're good people. Why is this happening? ¿Qué está pasando?" And I tell my other ones, "Go outside and call the fire department. Go and see." And they run outside. 21 minutes had passed. And nothing. And finally, my wife resuscitates her. And she starts going and having seizures. Minutes after, fire department gets back, comes in. They see her having seizures. After they have her seeing seizures,
so yeah,
they start thinking that, oh, she's having seizures. We're like, no, she passed away in my arms. She passed away. So literally, she, we rush her to the hospital, and they say, there might be some brain damage allí. And I was in shock. It took me 2 years to recover from that. Yeah. So mentally, therapy, and so on. Actually, I went to the family. I went to the family to go over there to go do medicine over there también.
Yeah. And do you feel that that's obviously one of the reasons that drew you back as well? To
when Milagros, when we were in Sacramento, and we were having the same things happen again, y otras cosas. I felt that I had to reconnect and do that, and nobody knew how difficult it was. Nobody had an idea of how it was, how I missed my girls, and I felt that no matter how much I did to move forward, no podía. And I felt like I would move one step forward, and like 5, 10 would be backwards. So I see, and I felt like, what can I do? ¿Qué puedo hacer?
Mm-hmm.
And there was moments and that I became very dark. And oh shit, I'm going to say it. And I literally I thought about suicide. And I was very close. And my roommate, which, Irene, bless her heart, she helped me out a lot. And she spoke to me, and she gave me she sat with me, she gave me space.
Yeah.
And through her, I was able to do it and to be able to go. And I said, you know what, Irene, I need to go somewhere. And she's like, what? And because she's part Native American, we did a lot of ceremonies together too. And, with the community, Native American community for many years. So I said, I need to go back. And as we did, we went back to the family, to Cañón. And I started doing more medicine. And then eventually Milagros wanted to do it.
Wow. And, how old was she when she decided?
How long was that? Yeah, somewhere 3 years ago. 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
beautiful.
And she sat. She actually took the medicine, and I started realizing well, our mother there told us, I love her. And she says somebody's protecting her. And I can't get through her. As she was taking Aya. And she's like, hey, where's your dad? I said, my dad passed away. He's like, oh my God, that's your dad protecting her. What's his name? And I start crying.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh, see, I still have goosebumps. Look at that. Look at that. And it was just like I was connected there. And I said, Jose. She's like, let me go talk to him.
Wow.
And she did. And she told him, hey, I'm here to help your granddaughter. Jose, it's okay. Your son is here, whatever she told him. And she was able to connect. And ever since then, ever since she sat that day with medicine,
wow,
she has not had any seizures since then.
What? Yeah. No way.
I mean, through a lot of sacrifice, through a lot of medicine that we done, like the actual medical medicine. But after that ayahuasca visit that she had, nunca. She has never had a seizure ever since then.
With ayahuasca.
With Aya. And she connected. That same day, mom, comes up to me, Gloria comes up to me, and she says, hey, I want to show you something. And I was like, and I'm expecting to see Milagros. I'm like, where's she at? Where's she at? And she's like, look where she's at. I was like, where? Up there on the tree. And because of seizures, you're not supposed to climb trees. And she was laughing, happy as she hasn't been in years. Contenta. And I was like, wow. And she was just up there, and she's like, hey, puppy.
Wow.
And I was like, wow.
And
I felt so happy. I felt so connected. And I was like, you know what? I don't have my other two. And I miss the other two, and I wish they would be here.
Of course, yeah.
But this little flower that's here with me, I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to nurture her. So all the darkness, everything just kind of shifted and just changed. And I knew that I was starting to move forward now. And I started focusing on her. And I said, okay, cool. Because I felt her spirit. I felt her energy. And through the family, I was able to find myself again. And that was pretty much it. And that ever since then, I was like, okay, I know what needs to be done. I need to be more around positive people. I need to be around people that love, people that want to share the same love that I have.
Yes.
And again, it's that part that as a Mexicano, we are raised not to share.
Yeah.
That we're not to show, to demonstrate it. Yeah. And for me, that was huge.
Yeah.
So now it's like, I'm like, we're always there.
Yes.
We're always there,
So how many times you done Iowa?
I lost count. I don't count it anymore.
Are you serious? And every time is a different experience.
It was a different experience. Lately, I've been doing more sapito.
Yes.
Because one of the things that I realized about sapito was that it's like your own reflection. You know, it's kind of.
It doesn't mess around.
Yeah, it doesn't mess around.
Aya is like amazing. Aya play a part for me, and I've shared this in the previous episodes with Aya. She was there to remind me that there was a disconnection with myself, and reconnect me back to nature. As you know, my house is full of plantitas because I was so afraid to buy plantas because I always thought I would die, and they do die. They're special, but she was able to connect me to Mother Earth. Yeah. And to my inner self, to being a mom. But sapito is a whole nother level. Yeah. It is my favorite, and I'm not afraid to say it is my favorite medicine when I need to get an oil change. Yeah. Well,
it's true. It is true.
It's like an oil change for me. Like, girl, get it together.
Our friend, Carlitos.
Yes.
He first introduced it to me, and he's like, Goose. He's like, I don't know if you're ready. I was like, dude, I'll do it. And he's like, dude, if you face yourself, Goose, it's like a mirror. At times you can face yourself in a mirror. Mm-hmm. Are you ready? I was like, dude, as long as it's healing me, I'm down to do it. Mm-hmm. As long as I'm able to move forward.
Yes.
And
when you get stuck. Yeah.
And to battle my own battles, internal battles. Yes. I said, I want to do it. And he was like, no, Goose, you're still going through the things that you're going through. You're divorced or your thing. I was like, no, Carlitos, that's not. No, it's about me. It's about me. And then he was like, okay, all right, dude. And then he gave me a small dosage, and I was like, okay, I didn't feel it. Because I have a high tolerance.
That's what I heard.
You heard that I have a high tolerance? Yeah, I did. I have a lot.
They gave you how many times? Like,
well, that one I think they gave me the first time that I tried. I think they gave me 3 times, and the first one.
And it could be because you probably done so much Aya, so your tolerance needs to be like, so intense. But sapito is a whole intensity. Once you go there, like once they shoot you off.
Yeah. Well, it got to the point where Carlitos was like, dude, we have to see where you're at. Yeah. And then afterwards I was like, okay, this is not where I'm at. You guys need to bump it up a little bit more. The second time I was like, okay, I'm feeling it.
Like you're feeling it.
Yeah, okay, I get it. The third one I was like, holy chingao. Like, oh my God. And I dije, ay wey, like, whoa, this is something new.
Hasta voló la greña.
Yeah, when I had long hair. Only imagine with the hair, like,
te voló los pelos, like your hair just flew out.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
And shoot you off.
Wow, this, it was a different experience. Mm-hmm. I was able to connect with my dad again. And my dad was talking smack to me. But in a good way, like
why are you so afraid?
Like he was literally like schooling me, but not schooling me, like more like improving myself and telling me, this is where you're screwing up. This is what you need to do. Mijo, you're dropping the ball. And I was like llorando, but at the same time llorando, but like I'm talking to my dad again.
Yes. And I think that's the best part, right? When you can connect with your loved ones that have passed.
And then what he was saying, it was all truthful. And I was like, how do you know that? How? And then I remember Carlos telling me, it's a mirror, Goose. You're going to face it. You're going to see it. And sure enough. And that's how it's been. Every single time, like, I've been looking at it. And, I think that it's not just the medicine, but it's the group of people that are there. Yeah. The group of people that are there are extremely loving and passionate. And they're also working on themselves, but they also want you to work on yourself and loving and supportive. And I think that that's one of the things that has helped me even heal even faster and more and grow more.
And I feel like the acceleration with Sabito, it almost shoots me off a lot quicker if I surrender, right? And I'm able to it's basically not resist.
Yeah.
It's just go.
Yeah.
Just go to the unknown.
Well, I think what it is that our own fear is what prevents us from growing. And I think that because of that fear, we want and we stay in that. We have the tendency to stay in that comfort zone where it feels safe, where it feels okay. You know, I like it. Y aquí me voy a quedar. And I think that when you do that, you don't grow as an individual spiritually, mentally, and for your own well-being in the future.
Yes, your future self. Yeah.
And I think that because of that is the reason why you stay stagnant. And because you stay stagnant, you just create more havoc for your own self. And I think that doing ceremonies and doing medicine allows you to face your fears, challenge yourself, grow. And I think that sometimes, chillas and it's painful.
Yes.
And you're like, como si fueras niño, like literally a baby, like llorando, 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 llorando. But it's part, my dad used to say, like, let it out. Let it out. You'll feel better after you let it out. And when I was crying, I was like, okay, my dad's talking to me. He's telling me to let it go. And ever since then, I was like, okay, cool. I got it. And there's been moments where I told the guys, like, you know what? I need more. And the guys have been able to care for me and to help me and help me, improve my own life and therefore improving their lives,
And having that, one of the things I do love in this particular community, because I've been around different communities, but this one is a close radius for me, and the community itself, they're a blessing every time I've gone. Like even there was times that I've asked, and I have not sat with medicine, but just being there, holding space and being in service by my energy being there. The community there, you're right, when there's the feminine energy and the masculine energy and brotherhood, when they're there to hold you through it and through your healing process, it's tremendo. It's like amazing because they don't even know. I mean, I feel like when I go there, like, these people don't even know me, but they love me. But energetically, our energies, our essence recognizes each other. So, and I always said, we know that we've experienced life in another lifetimes. And that there is no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. I think it's all how it has to happen. The people that needed to be there in that ceremony, they're the ones that needed you. They needed you to be there. It's just vice versa, right? And everybody works in some particular collectively similar things when you're there. Because we're interconnected. We know that. We're all connected. So we understand that. I understood that with Truaya. And when Sapito, it just kind of confirms who we are. I don't know if you got to experience a few things that were pretty dark with Sapito.
You know what? So far, I have not. I have not. They all have been positive. The only one that I did was through Sapito. I was able to talk to my dad. Right? There was one occasion that I was like, "Why aren't you talking to me? Where are you at?" And I started getting frustrated. I started getting angry. And he wouldn't respond.
So he didn't show up in your journey.
And,
you wanted him to show up.
Yeah, I wanted him to show up. And then Milagros' godfather, I also called out to him because he had been present. And in that particular day, he wasn't there either. And I started getting frustrated. I started getting emotional. And I started going to that dark. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Why am I getting so angry? What's going on? What's happening?
Why are you getting so frustrated, angry? Yeah.
And then somehow, some way, they said, we're busy. We're caring for somebody else.
Yeah, they're become spirit guides.
And I was like, no. In my mind, I was like, no, cabrones. I need you guys now. Like, I need you guys now. Like, I was like,
we're not here for you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wait. Like,
not today.
And I started getting angry, and I woke up, and I was like, and I told Milagros, and Milagros was like, papi, they're taking care of my sisters or something. I don't remember the whole conversation.
Yeah.
But they don't need us. They don't need to be here. They're going to somebody that needs us more. And I don't remember how the whole conversation happened, but I connected and I said, oh, they're with my daughters. They're caring for them because they need it more. They need to have their presence. And I was like, my whole energy, all the negativity, everything was like, and
dissolving.
I felt cleansed and dissolved.
Dissipating.
And
It was just dissipating.
Wow, I felt like, you know what? You're right. And I started realizing and reflecting. I said, I'm being egotistical. I'm being narcissist.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking about myself, my feelings. Yeah. And it was like a chin check, like, hey, wait. It's not about you, mijo. It's not about you. You need to realize qué es lo que estás haciendo.
But what do you feel as far as like, why do you think you wanted them there?
Their guidance. I wanted them to reflect on things that I was going through. I wanted them to tell me like, hey, this is what you need to do. Like it had been happened before. Even if it hurt, even if they told me the truth, even though I wasn't going to be ready to accept it, what they would told me, but I wanted to hear it.
I know what you mean. Like la guianza, how to navigate certain things. But don't you think, in my own experience as well, I've discovered this through integration, that sometimes it's you already have the answer.
So I realized that
because we always seek externally for that guidance. Which is not bad. It's not bad to seek externally at all, because sometimes we feel so clogged. We feel like we can't see. But we actually do have it inside. We're just not surrendering and quieting that noise of the ego.
So it's funny you say that, because after that I realized like I started to reflect on me, like, I know what I need to do. They're telling me you're okay. You need to look at it like you're okay.
You're fine.
No necesitas tanta ayuda, cabrón, like you think.
Calm the fuck down.
Like, cálmate, way, Like, or like, no mames, way, like, really, like,
it's like, not that bad. You know what to do, But I think that's the internal self. Sometimes it's when I feel and seeking that guidance as a child, because when you're a child, that's what we are basically like exploring and navigating like life itself. But there's experiences when you're confused, like, and we're not nowhere, like, you just like, I don't know what direction I want to go.
Well, I think you and I can relate on this, because it's when you first go through the divorce, right?
Yes.
You're like, this is not supposed to happen.
No.
Wait. This is not what I'm doing.
The attachments, the attachment of the story.
And you're like,
this is supposed to be forever.
And then you're like, ¿qué chingos está pasando? Like, wait, it's like, I gave my oath, and you're not taking it. You're not, there's something that's not there. And then therefore you reflect on things, and you're like, I need that experience. I need that guidance, because I don't know. This is new.
Yes.
¿Qué voy a hacer?
Yeah.
This is not.
Well, especially because you didn't expect. So talking about like separation, divorces, a lot of us can relate to this story if you're listening to this, and this connection. If you're married, delete it. You probably won't experience it. Just kidding. Maybe you are.
You have, and love your partner, and create a lot of support, a lot of
learn from this conversation that we're going to share, you guys. If you're guys going to get married or second marriage, whatever it is. But when you're married, it's all new to you too.
Yeah.
That's just the reality.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So when we go through the process of accepting that, well, not even, sometimes it's so challenging accepting that it's the end from that, with that partnership, with that person, that the journey now is going to go in separate ways. But when we accept, it's dead.
Hot. It's okay. It's okay. It's
okay. When we experience that stage now, when you don't know where to go, because you thought you were going to grow old with this person or die together, there's a love story.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't resonate for everybody, because a lot of people, do die together, or, they grow old together. In our case, that didn't happen. And we almost feel weird about it. Like,
I really reflect now, and it's funny. Now, I thought that I was going to be married forever, right? Mm-hmm. But I never thought of myself growing old and dying with her. Which is weird, right? Which is weird. Yes. Like, I never saw myself like that. But now I'm like, cabrón, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I never saw myself that way. Oh, cool. Then,
I mean, you don't really see it, but when you get married, that's the assumption.
Right?
The assumption, that we picture that, like, oh, we're going to, but you don't visualize, like, really. Now I'm thinking, did I? Well, it doesn't matter. But, I mean, at the end of the day, when you're in that acceptance of your divorce, it is challenging overall, because you're still facing, because there's children, and then the partnership being split. It is hard. And depending the story, how it ended.
Yeah. One of the things, I mean, statistically speaking, right? People that remain, or couples that remain together for the kids, right? The kids statistically are more successful to move on and, not get entangled with a lot of the crazy stuff about society, right? The majority, statistically speaking, right? I know there's exceptions, and I know that there's some, but the majority, that's what happens. The majority of single parentings and so on, the kids actually start crumbling into the cobweb of violence and inner city trouble and so on, right? The majority, statistically speaking.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, I always realized that, and I saw it with my own family too. And I told my ex, I said, look, you and I were done, but you have to think about our girls. And I said, because in love, in war, everything goes. So we are secondary. We're parents. Yeah. And we have to think about our daughters.
Yes. And that doesn't break off the partnership as co-parenting.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's one thing that I was very solid, that the connection should not end of the partnership of co-parenting.
Yeah.
And not mesh it with the partnership that ended as partners. Yep. And that's challenging for most humans because we project a lot of our pain.
Yep. And
yes, emotional intelligence in there.
Yeah. But you know what? The beauty is that, and for me, it was very challenging because I couldn't co-parent with my ex. I couldn't be able to see eye to eye with them. Yeah. And I see a lot of things right now, and I see a lot of challenges that are happening. And that's one of the reasons why, it hurts me to say this, and it's always going to be there until I have my daughters. I'm still going to be in pain because I love them to death.
Absolutely.
And I lived for my family, for my girls, right? And I know that as arrogant and as I maybe as I don't know how, if it's arrogant or anything, but I want to say that the best thing that my ex gave me was knowing what it was to be a father and what it was to actually say, I have 3 daughters. I think if anything good happened in that relationship, I think that's the only thing that I look at, that I was like, I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
I'm blessed. And honestly, that's the key thing that I'm like, that's the best thing she gave me, for me, in terms of the love that I have and that we had for the girls, right? And that, for that, I owe her dearly for the rest of my life, to be called a dad or a father,
Yes.
like I said, I wasn't able to have kids. So when I was able to, that was the best gift that I can say that she could give me.
Yeah.
But in terms of that, I see how, like in your case or in other couples where they co-parent, and I see it and I'm like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so chingon.
Yeah.
That you're able to communicate and put your emotions and your own feelings to the side and be able to look at the baby and say, this is why we're here. Yeah. We don't get along, but you know what? We're here for that baby.
We need to get along for him as parents.
Exactly.
See eye to eye for his school, for his health. We have to talk about, his eatings or whatever it is, the case of his wellness of our child. Other than that, we don't have to see the eye about belief systems or what we believe or not believe, or how you see life, or how we're so different. At this point, you have to just accept and move on. And it's so hard when you come to that situation. But if you both talk vulnerable and you talk with a heart, and you're both aware that we're both human beings and we're experiencing this life and we don't know everything, and that partnerships end, but let's make it work for the children. I think one of the most mature thing anybody can do is that when you're a parent is that you move forward by accepting.
Yeah. I think what it is
and not holding on.
I think what happens también a veces is that your ego kicks in so much that it's more like you're believing and thinking that your partner's going to use that against you when you become, vulnerable, or when you reach out or you talk and you feel like, I'm going to give him, más poder or a little step over me. And it's like, it's not about you and me. It's not about, the funk that we have or the problems. It's about the kid. It's about our child, because it's about their well-being. And if you're lacking somehow, let me go for it. Let me, like what we were talking about earlier, is like when you see that a person is not stepping up, let me step up. Let me do it, because there's different ways that I can help, and that's the thing. I think that in some cases, we put our emotions in terms of our partner against the partner, because we're bitter, we're not fully healed, and we still want to attach those feelings to us because we have that partnership. And it's like, I'm going to make her pay because she did something to me. And it's like, no, let that go.
And I think one of the things is going to be a big thing that I think I probably share with you is that for me, I know it sounds, when I go that direction, I'm like, what are you talking about, Karla? It's real. But just kind of imagine this part, if the pain did not exist. The pain, like el dolor.
Oh, yeah.
The pain did not exist. When we do sapito, when the medicine hits, and then you come back and you return, and you feel like this immense love.
Yeah.
The pain dissipates.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. There's nothing to be attached to.
Yeah.
The illusion dissolved.
Yep.
Because we're not broken.
Yep.
It's a concept that we create in our mind that you hurt me.
Yeah.
How dare you fucker? Yep. Does that make sense? And it hurts. It hurts us because we're human. We have feelings. So we attach to the illusion of the pain.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, because there's a woman that really taught me a good lesson. I was talking to her, and I think I mentioned this to you.
Yeah.
And I was still dealing with some shadows that I didn't know that I had.
Yeah.
And I'm really thankful that she showed me this, that she exposed this to me, because I was allowed to heal from it. And I was putting my own thoughts and my own egos like, how dare you? And I remember her talking to me, and she says, "Those are your feelings." Dije, ay, cabrón. Dije, puta madre. And I was like, all right. And then
that's cold blooded.
It was, but I was like, damn, I thought we were cool, but like, damn, I see.
Those are your feelings. Like, it is true.
And then I realized, and then I spoke with somebody else, and then she was like, yeah, Goose, that's you. And then I started reflecting on things, and I was like, oh, I know where this is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I see where this is coming from.
Yep.
This is not this woman. It's my ex.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, you know what? I never saw it. I never realized I still had those attachments.
Yes.
Those emotions. Those
it is the attachment of the feelings that you create from that narrative, that story.
Yeah.
From that story, because once you move forward, right past the story, there's nothing. It just becomes the past.
Yeah. And once I realized that, I felt like saying to this woman, like, thank you, cabrona, for doing this shit. And I'm always
for being the mirror.
Yeah, for being the mirror, but at the same time for being a great woman.
She is,
a great woman, because
yes,
and like I said,
she played her part.
Yeah, she did, and you know what? And those type of individuals, those type of people that are making you grow and see yourself and heal yourself, and again, mirror, and making you reflect, like forcibly looking at yourself,
and not look away, right?
Yeah,
because that's what medicine has taught me. Do not look away. Because
you know what? I have realized that through medicine, I don't look away anymore.
Mm-mm.
I don't.
You were like, I don't want to see, but you have to see it. You're refusing to see yourself dark. You refuse yourself. That's okay. That's okay, because that's when you face that, you're gonna see your light.
Well, I look at it like this: I done some harsh stuff and some negative stuff in my past.
Yeah.
This is nothing. This is you, cabrón. This is you. You need to go through this. I'm like, no seas pinche. Be a bitch, beep, face it, cabrón.
Yeah, face it. Yeah.
And honestly, it has helped me tremendously to grow in many different ways. Like, I always say this, and and to her, I was like, she's a great woman because she gave me that. She showed me what I don't want and what I want in my life.
There you go. She played the both parts.
Yeah. I already had a sense of what I wanted, like we were talking about. I had a sense. I already understood what I wanted. But now she actually helped me reflect and realize, like, what I really want now. And I was like, you know what? This is not something I want. And that was key. And that's why I say, like, I'm going to always be grateful for this woman. She's a great woman because of that. But I also reflected and I said, you know what? To my ex, I wish you the best. No bitterness. Yeah. No animosity. No hate. You know what? Go find your happiness.
She deserves happiness.
And I was like, because I'm finding myself again. I'm reconnecting to the old person that I was happy, lovable. And I always
But you're going to be like, it's like you're the old person in the new version of yourself.
Más viejo, más gordo, less hair, más arrugadito, but,
You're so you're so dramatic.
But
no, stop. Like, I mean, it is what it is. I get pena. But this is a new version of you because, I mean, being young and fit, that can be accomplished.
Yeah. Well,
you're not old. I mean, come on.
Well,
it's just you're wiser now.
You know what it is that I learned to accept myself, how I am, and to be comfortable where I am. And
because it doesn't have to be forever. Like it can be. I mean, I was heavy, couple pounds, and now I've shrinked, and it's like fluctuate. But loving yourself authentically through those process. Yeah. Because it is what it is. Life is life. We're human. We like tacos. We like food.
Believe me.
And sometimes I don't want to exercise, but it takes discipline.
It does. It does. I think that one of the key things that you need to do in order for you to grow,
yes,
and face your darkness, is to be consistent, to be disciplined. And I think that's one of the things.
Two keywords. Discipline, consistency. It's a big one.
Not motivation, because motivation comes and goes. But discipline and consistency, and also accountability with your own self. I think that's key. Yes. And I think that in order for you to grow rapidly or at your own self pace, which might be, rapidly, I can honestly tell you that I feel that I have grown and lost 4 sizes, so far, has been because I've been focusing and consistent on myself. And to a certain degree, I've been kind of selfish, and
that's a positive,
because quiero crecer, I want to be.
You have to come first. I there's somewhere distortion about being selfish, like in a selfish way, like a maturely way. Mature way is being aware that you need to come first, so your mental health is good. You are taking care of yourself through your healing process. That maintenance, so you can be functional for yourself, for your loved ones, and your soul family, your loved ones. It's society collectively. If you're not good with you, that's why the world is what it is now.
Well, I always tell Milagritos is like, in order for you to help everybody else, you have to start with yourself. You need to help yourself first. You want to help the whole world, you need